Mr. Bill O'Reilly from BillO'Reilly.com. How are you, sir?
I'm the same, Beck, which is tragic for everyone.
Oh, you are funny. Bill, your thoughts on that last story?
All right. I was a former high school teacher, as you know, and I taught a elective called Contemporary Problems, which dealt with the issues of the day in the early 1970s. So I'm pretty well versed about kids and what they do and how they do it and how they get swept up in all kinds of mania and peer pressure. So my solution to all of this is, look, if you want to have a demonstration or a protest against something, you should be able to if you're a student, but it has to be done after school, not during school hours. You can't impose on the school day and force people to make a decision about whether they should protest or not, because it's just wrong to put kids in that position. So you can do it after school, and you petition it. You go to the principal and you say, look, we'd like to have this kind of a discussion in the gymnasium or wherever, and, you know, hopefully a reasonable administration will respect that. So that's how you do it. You don't get involved with this trendy and spur-of-the-moment stuff.
Well,
but the most important story, and I don't know whether you covered this or not, because I am trying to keep up with you, but you've got so many things going on
I know.
on the program. You might have, but we uncovered on BillO'Reilly.com, which is rapidly turning into an investigative agency.
Good for you.
That there was a far-left group behind this protest of these kids. Do you know that?
Yeah, well, we do, but yes,
okay.
Most people don't.
The group is called Empower, EMPOWER.
Okay, didn't know this part of it. Good. All right, go ahead.
Oh, you didn't know this?
No, this is new. This is new to me. Go ahead.
Back,
No, it's good. Go ahead.
This group was behind the student walkout. And not only were they behind it, but in certain areas they made signs. They made sure that far-left faculty members were posting stuff on social media. It was organized by Empower. Who's Empower, Beck? Empower is an offshoot of a group called the Women's March Movement.
Yeah, that there we had. I didn't have the loop of Empower. This is truly amazing, Bill. That no one is covering this
by anyone. National news service.
Bill, do you remember?
None.
Do you remember how this is AstroTurf? This Tea Party, it's AstroTurf. These were people in their kitchens, making little signs with sprinkles on them with their kids, and we were called AstroTurf. And it was, everybody knew what AstroTurf meant because they covered it so much at the beginning of the Tea Party. Not a word about this.
And in Santa Barbara, a hotbed of women's movement, women's march movement, they actually had professionally printed signs. The kids were carrying, decrying white supremacy. So your listeners and every American citizen, you got to know that this stealth, sneaky propaganda has now reached a national crisis where American children are being manipulated. They have no idea what Empower is or what the Women's March movement is. They have no clue. They think it's a spontaneous uprising, and it is not. And these people are making tremendous gains. They have a tremendous amount of money, much of it from the George Soros crew, and they have the media in their pocket. And I will just point out that the Women's March movement, as we discussed last Friday, all right, is now favorable toward Louis Farrakhan, the biggest anti-Semite and anti-white person going around speaking today. So this is bad. And I'm proud that my website, BillO'Reilly.com, with a small staff, are breaking these stories and letting people know what the truth is about their country, because you're certainly not getting it from the national press.
Bill, if there was they barely covered the Right for Life March, which was enormous in Washington,
they
D.C.
ignore it every year.
Yeah, they ignore it every single year. So those women don't count. Those people don't count. Those children don't count. And if there was a Right to Life March that was spontaneously happening all across the country, and there was a walkout, and the signs, the buses, to get the kids where they needed to go and organize everything and get the permits and get the stage and get the speakers and have all of that done, and then the signs as well were printed by churches, they would have exposed that and said this is nothing but a religious, crazy, crackpot, church-driven thing that is indoctrinating kids. Any doubt in your mind?
No. And everybody knows it, though. I mean, so what we're trying to do here is this story about the anti-Trump movement and the anti-conservative movement, which are two different things, is developing quickly. And what Americans are unaware of is that there is a powerful force behind all this. And you said it, that the nation's public schools are really in crisis because the teachers' unions are as far left as you can get, all right? And the administrators, the principals, school boards are frightened to death of the women's movement. They're petrified of it. So where they couldn't win in the ballot box, they couldn't get Hillary Clinton elected and their liberal people in the House and the Senate, they couldn't get them elected. They're now doing it through propaganda and intimidation, which every totalitarian regime in history has used. And then they're hoping that wave of intimidation leads to success at the ballot box. And so it's a much bigger story than just kids walking out waving signs saying we don't want any more kids shot. It's a much, much bigger story than that.
Bill O'Reilly from BillO'Reilly.com. A conversation continues here in just a second.
Glenn Beck.
We have Dennis Quaid joining us in about an hour from now. There's a new movie out called I Can Only Imagine, and Bart Millard. It's a true story about Bart Millard and the song that he wrote about his dad. I Can Only Imagine. That is this incredible story. I will tell you, I watched the movie last week, and I was like, okay, well, let's watch this movie and see if it's any good. It is really good. You'll love it, and I think that Dennis Quaid, it may be his best performance yet. And it's an incredible story. We'll talk about that next hour. Right now, we have Bill O'Reilly from BillO'Reilly.com on with us. Bill, let's talk about, you have any thoughts on the bridge collapse?
No, I'm sure they'll find out if the construction company did something.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. Do you have any comments, seeing that the bridge was 5 days old? Do you have any comments about the media talking about how this is Donald Trump and not investing in our infrastructure?
I mean, really. I did something. By the way, Dennis Quaid's a good guy. Tell him I said hello.
I'll say to you that I will.
He's really a good guy and smart guy. Yeah. I did a commentary yesterday called Trump Fatigue. And I base it on my analysis of the cable news ratings. Two of the networks, Fox and CNN, are going down rapidly, losing audience rapidly. MSNBC in prime time is gaining a little bit, but that gain is going to evaporate soon. And the reason is on both sides, the hate Trumpers and the love Trumpers, they're getting tired of this every single day. The most absurd comparisons, as you just said, the infrastructure, and it's somehow Trump is tied in. These women who come out, they obviously want to make money They're in it for money. Everybody knows they want money. So do their attorneys. Yet the media puts them up as some kind of victims. And you're just, even the dimmest of us, Beck, know that it is over. It's Trump fatigue. They want him out. We've heard it all now. Whatever Mueller comes back with, half the country's not going to believe it. All right? And why would Mueller subpoena Trump records for his private business more than a year after he started the Russian investigation? Why wasn't that done in the first 3 months? I mean, it's just enough already. So I'm not surprised they're trying to tie him into the bridge in Miami, or somebody got a hurt toe in Wisconsin. It's got to be Trump's fault.
Will you do me a favor, Bill? Because you are really, truly, I think, one of the sharpest minds about television. I mean, I used to marvel at, you would get in the morning and the first thing you would do is you would go over everybody's ratings and you track them, and you were looking for what's working and what's not.
Right.
To try to kind of understand the mind of America. And I don't do that. America tries to understand the mind of Glenn Beck, which is weird. But I would love to hear your opinion on, or your facts on what is really happening with cable news, because you're not hearing this anywhere, and I believe the collapse is coming.
Well, it's here. It's not coming. It's here.
So tell me what's
happening, Beck, and it's an excellent question, is this. After you left, I left, a few other people left the field, all right? And Donald Trump was elected president. The cable news divided into, we hate Trump, we love Trump. And they wiped out all their other coverage of the country and the world. Everything, particularly in prime time, was geared toward either trying to get Trump out of office, the media coup that I've described, get him out, not criticize him, we want him out, or defend him at all costs. Mm-hmm. All right? So the cable news, instead of covering, I did 6 segments when I was doing The Factor, and maybe 2 of them were on politics and 4 of them were on other things. I'll give you an example. The guy who killed Kate Steinle is now suing the federal government, Beck. Did anybody cover that last night?
No.
Nobody. As outrageous as it gets. Okay. So people can watch a little bit of the Trump stuff, particularly for we didn't know whether he was going to do anything or he's a new president. But now he's been in there for 14 months. All right, and it's the same stuff that it was 14 months ago.
So tell me what the ratings are doing, Bill. Compare when you were there to
in February 2017 when I was sitting there in The Factor. All right, we had more than 4 million viewers at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Tucker Carlson in February 2018, this year, lost about 1.2 million of that audience, or 1,200,000 people who are watching Fox News at 8 o'clock are no longer watching it at 8. Not Tucker's fault, all right? It's not that he's doing a bad show. It's just that it's
because this is
all about one thing.
And is this network wide, and it is showing the same kind of downward trend for CNN?
Yes, CNN has lost a lot of viewers. At Fox, it is network-wide with the exception of Sean Hannity. Now, Sean's show is the strongest show on the network, and Sean is the most enthusiastic advocate of Donald Trump, and at least provides, and this is why his show is still doing well, he provides the only balance in a passionate way. I mean, Laura does it too, Laura Ingraham, but Trump is really getting defended by one man on cable, and it's Sean Hannity. So those people who like Trump are watching Sean. And, it's necessary. Sean Hannity's show is necessary. If you didn't have it, it would be 100% avalanche, bury a president of the United States. But, again, if you do it every night, if it's every night
and every show? So
and people are just saying, look, I'm going to go on the internet. I'm going to watch BillO'Reilly.com. I'm listening to Glenn Beck.
Okay,
I just can't invest the time anymore.
So hang on just a second.
That's what's happening.
Go to CNN because I just want to see, because I believe this is happening on both sides of the aisle. Tell me about the numbers. How much have they lost at CNN? Do you know?
CNN, I don't have the sheet in front of me. We did it yesterday on BillO'Reilly.com. They've lost about 20-25% of their audience across the board. They have no traction at all. It was funny because they're giving Chris Cuomo, a primetime show.
I know.
His morning show didn't do anything.
I know. Quick, let's move him to prime time. Back in a minute.
Glenn Beck, Mercury. This is the Glenn Beck Program.
I talked to Larry Kudlow about how hard is it to fix the economy. Here's what he said.
I said this before, and I'll say it again. You and I and like-minded people who believe in freedom and I can sit down with you and fix the economy. Give me a half hour. Okay, I'll list the stuff. I mean, I've been doing it for close to 40 years. It's not, the principles don't change.
He now has his 30 minutes to fix the economy. What are your thoughts on Larry Kudlow?
Before I get to that, Beck, I just want to tell you, every time I hear the music coming in from the break to introduce you,
yeah,
I want to go to the spa.
I'm going to put hot rocks on your back soon.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I fire up the incense.
I know. All right, go ahead.
Okay.
Larry
Kudlow, good guy, smart guy, free marketeer. Don't think he's a big tariff guy.
No.
Which is interesting, isn't it?
Yes.
Because I've said from the jump, this whole tariff thing is smoke and mirrors.
Well, he said it was quite interesting. He said he was called on the tennis court by Donald Trump, and he thought he was going to get chewed out for what he was saying on CNBC about tariffs, and he said, Trump said, let me explain my strategy. That's an interesting word. He said within 20 minutes I was on board. Now he's not going to.
Because the strategy is to saber rattle and then to make deals and then not have the tariffs.
That's great if that's true. That's great, and I think he's. What do you think about the people who are saying, he's a former alcoholic and drug user. With 20 years ago, he was drinking and drugging.
Look, anybody who would say that has to examine their own life.
Thank you.
Everybody has frailties, and everybody does things that they're not proud of, and it seems to me that Mr. Kudlow overcame that. So why would anybody be using that to attack him? When people do that, I just say, you're a bad human being. Please vanish from my presence.
Let's go to Gina Haspel. The story that was going around was that she was instrumental in the waterboarding of Abu, what's his name? I think he was the hairy back guy.
Now ProPublica has
retracted that.
Admitted that their reporting was fallacious. Word of the day, fallacious. Everyone.
May I just?
Anybody surprised that ProPublica, which is the late Fidel Castro's favorite news operation, would put out this crap? I'm not. I don't know what the woman did or did not do. I think that's for the Senate confirmation hearings. I think everybody should have an open mind about it. We want a good CIA director.
But hang on just a second.
Yeah.
She was wildly smeared, and I don't think she gets her reputation back. They even said that they had a book that talked about who was running the camp at the time and that it was a he. But ProPublica just, I mean, for people who are really concerned about pronouns, got this one wrong. They said, we just assumed that the author was trying to hide the fact that it was Gina Haspel that was running the camp.
All right, but let's be honest. If you, and people don't know this, but number one, nobody even heard of ProPublica and this story. It's not a big story. But if you do follow it and you see the name ProPublica, you know immediately that this is coming from a far left position.
It's not. Wait. But it's not about ProPublica. I mean, Rand Paul has used this.
Yeah, but Rand Paul, you knew was going to pull this. Rand Paul, again, this is for the people of Kentucky to decide. Rand Paul has a very, very sharp view of life, and he's not going to go along party lines. He's just not. And so,
well, neither. Hang on just a second.
Neither he's going to derail a lot of stuff.
Neither am I when it comes to torture. I don't believe in torture. Waterboarding we do to our own troops in
we
training.
Went over this a million times during the Iraq War, and Americans either support waterboarding or they don't. And that's what we have to go. That's why we vote. And most people, I believe, do on very, very limited occasions when life or death is in play. So anyway, I think this woman will probably be confirmed to be the director of the CIA. I think it's a good thing we have a woman in that position. I don't know her. I don't know much about, her background, but that's why I'm looking forward to the hearings.
Bill, I've been listening intently to your commentary today, and as usual,
well, you should.
It's been amazingly insightful as usual.
What is he kissing up for?
But I want to make sure I draw attention to one particular thing from the interview, which it was a qualifier that Glenn pointed out. He said you were one of the brightest minds on television matters. Did you notice the qualification there? He said you were a very bright mind, but he said it was only really specifically on one minor topic. How do you feel
Why are you
about
trying
that?
to get into his good graces?
I just want to know how he would react to that, because it happened on national radio.
He expanded it by saying O'Reilly looked at the ratings because he wanted to know what the American people found edifying, and it's absolutely true. That's what I did, and I'm not. Look. Whether I'm a great mind or not is up to the listeners of your program tonight. What I try to do is bring a honesty and incisiveness into the dialogue, because like Beck, and probably you too, Stu, I don't have an agenda here. I really don't. I just want the best for all Americans. And I see tremendous corruption in our country. Tremendous corruption.
Let me ask you this, Bill. Yesterday I did a story on how, if you just Google, what was it, people leaving the Trump administration or being fired, and you'll get all kinds of lists from everybody, from every newspaper, but nothing on the first page of the results will tell you who he's replacing them with. And that's really kind of an important, because I think everybody that he's replaced so far has been an upgrade. And I've never seen anything like this thirst for blood. I mean, poor McMaster, man. They've been saying for a year, this is the weekend he's going to be fired. It's incredible.
Well, look, there's two things in play here. Pompeo for Secretary of State is an upgrade over Rex Tillerson. All right, there's no doubt in my mind. Rex was kind of frightening. Looked a little like Bela Lugosi.
Okay.
Hair slicked back.
All right.
You know why he couldn't have any meetings during the day? Had to be
That's
at night.
not true.
Was wearing this black cape.
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't.
But Pompeo's an upgrade. But Trump's management style has not changed since he was running around New York building condos. You do it his way or you're out. And anybody working for Trump has got to understand that. Now, Mattis, who I think is the best administrator in the Trump hierarchy, has managed to stay away and managed to do an excellent job as Secretary of Defense.
Yeah.
But the other guys, I mean, it's Trump's way or the highway, and that's just the way the man is.
Last question. Russia. what is going to happen with Russia because of the UK?
It's hard to predict Putin. Putin's in trouble now. All right? He's in trouble because his image is shattering around the world. It doesn't matter in Russia itself because that's a totalitarian state. If you run against Vlad, he's going to put you in jail or poison you. All right? So that are your options. But around the world, everybody knows that Putin is Stalin light. I mean, that's who he is. And you remember when I interviewed Donald Trump in the Super Bowl for 2017 that weekend, I said to the president, why are you being soft on Putin? He's a killer. Do you remember that, Beck?
Mm-hmm.
And then Putin demanded that I apologize, or he was going to send poison to Long Island or something.
Right.
Okay. Now, I saw that, and Trump really didn't have his answer was, well, we do bad things too, which I thought was pretty weak.
Very weak.
But I think the good thing about this, if there isn't any, because people are dead, is that the world, there's no longer any debate about Vlad Putin. He's just a savage.
Yeah.
He's a savage.
Okay.
And everybody's got to know it.
Bill, as always, thank you so much. Thanks for all the hard work at BillO'Reilly.com.
I want to thank Stu for the kind words. Very, very. My weekend, my St. Patrick's Day weekend is now complete.
Right.
You're welcome.
Very much.
Thanks a lot, Bill. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. See you soon.
BillO'Reilly.com.